The 2022 NBA draft has been an incredible class, and I think more interestingly to me, people are very passionate about this class. People have a lot of opinions about a lot of different players throughout this class, so let's look back and grade and regrade some of the best and also some of the worst picks from this class so far. We begin at number 1 with Paulo Benko of the Orlando Magic, and to me, there's only one way to grade this. It is an absolute A+. The fact that it was a last-minute decision on the part of Orlando to take Paulo first, it seemed like they were going to take Jabari Smith first. We're going to talk about him later, but if any player in this entire class screams franchise level player, perennial all-NBA, all-star caliber player, that guy is Paulo Benko. Nobody else is even close on that scale in terms of a perimeter scorer, in terms of a creator, in terms of a guy you can look at as a franchise cornerstone. And it helps that he's got a lot of help there in Orlando in terms of young guys he can grow and develop alongside. I think especially in comparison to someone like Jabari Smith, again, who we're going to talk about later in Houston. Paulo's situation is better there in Orlando, but he is incredible as a scorer. I think he's going to continue to grow and improve in a really, really fast rate over the next couple of years of his career. It's an A+, absolutely. Of course, for the second overall pick, I'm not going to give a grade for Chet Holmgren. He's been hurt all year for OKC. But number 3, Jabari Smith, I'm going to give Houston a C- for this selection. Now, I say this with a couple of caveats. One, I don't think the situation in Houston has been anything close to ideal for a rookie, and especially a rookie that plays the way that Jabari Smith does, because I think people got a little bit confused during the draft process when he was seen as potentially the first pick in the draft, with a lot of people thinking that this guy was going to be the next Kevin Durant or something as a shot creator. He just wasn't that guy. He wasn't someone that really created his own shot at all, and his best role was going to be alongside other really good players as a really great role player. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean someone that could really guard, someone that could shoot off ball, and then could kind of grow into a bigger role as his career went on. And just none of that stuff is translated. There's been some defensive effort stuff that's been pretty good at times, but the shot has just not followed him to the NBA, and really none of his offense has at all. And it's been a big concern. Now, like I said, Houston's not an ideal situation for him, and the guards certainly are not fantastic, and I think there's a lot of other places he could have gone and had more success than he has. So I'm not giving up on Jabari Smith by any means. I still think there's a lot of potential there, but based off how his rookie season has gone, I'm going to give them a C- for the selection. Next up now, number 4 is a selection I was critical of at the time of the draft, and it's Keegan Murray going to the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to give them a B+ now for this selection. There was a lot of criticism, including from myself at the time, about the fact they didn't take Jaden Ivey. It felt like a little bit of a reach. Keegan Murray's been good. He can guard, he can shoot. Of course, Sacramento's having a really good season, and he's been a really good fit for them. I would still argue that from a value standpoint, there were players that could have provided more overall value than what Keegan Murray has, but in terms of fit, in terms of the rookie season he's had, you can't disagree with the selection. The only reason it's a B+ rather than higher than that is there are some guys drafted after him that I like better, but that's no disrespect to Keegan Murray, and he's been a good fit there in Sacramento, so I'm going to give them a B+. Number 5 now, Jaden Ivey of the Detroit Pistons. I'm going to give them an A for this selection. It's a little bit of a weird one to evaluate because Cade Cunningham's been hurt basically the entire season. Detroit is an incredibly young team, a team that's still trying to figure out so many different things. But in terms of the upside, in terms of the potential from Jaden Ivey, I've seen pretty much everything I've wanted to see out of him as a rookie. Like, yes, he needs to be more efficient, needs to turn the ball over less, needs to become a better perimeter shooter. All that stuff is true, but we knew all that stuff at the time. The incredible athleticism, the ability to get to the rim, the playmaking, all that stuff has been there. And I think he's just going to continue to be one of the more exciting young players in the league. I'm really excited to see him continue to grow alongside the rest of the core there in Detroit, including a guy we're going to talk about a little bit later on in this video. But given where they were selecting some of the guys taken after him, I'm going to give them an A for this pick. And number 6 now is our second A+ of the video, and it's Bennedict Mathurin going to the Indiana Pacers. He has been arguably the most impressive rookie in the entire class relative to your expectations. He's been an incredible scorer, whether it's been starting or off the bench. I think there's a lot of defensive potential and upside with him, and I just like watching him play. I like his demeanor. I like how square he is in terms of everything that he does is so solid, and he's on balance, and he just looks like a professional basketball player in every single way. I love Bennedict Mathurin. I think he's a critical part to what Indiana's doing moving forward, and they get an A+ because that kind of value at number 6 overall is really, really great. Next up now, number 7 is Shaden Sharpe of the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm going to give them a B+ for this pick. I feel like the whole point of taking him was to get some upside on the roster, to try and capitalize on the potential that he might have over the next couple of seasons, and that's basically exactly what has happened so far in his rookie season. He's looked good. He hasn't looked like, an all-star caliber player or anything as a rookie like Paulo has at times, but he has been the upside guy. That's what he was supposed to be in this class. He was the big swing. He was the risk, and obviously an incredible athlete. Has improved as a three-point shooter, and I think is going to be a critical part of what Portland does moving forward. I think there's a lot of teams around the league that really, really wish they had someone like Shaden Sharpe on their roster right now, and for a Portland team that feels a little bit stuck in the middle and they don't really know what they're going to be doing moving forward with Dame and all these other pieces on their roster, having the level of upside of someone like Shaden Sharpe on the roster really helps them, so I'm going to give them a solid grade for that. Number 8 now is a player that I actually really like, but I'm going to give the Pelicans a C for this selection, and it's Dyson Daniels. I think Dyson Daniels is good, and I just think that it's been a weird season for New Orleans, and unfortunately we just haven't seen him really do a lot for them. I mean, they've obviously had a ton of injury issues throughout their roster, and it's been a very up and down season. To begin the year, I thought that they were, one of the best teams in the league, and I thought that Dyson Daniels as like their 11th man was pretty incredible. I still think that there's going to be plenty of opportunities for success for him moving forward, but grading it strictly based off of his rookie season, unfortunately for them, I'm going to have to give them a C for this selection. Number 9 now is a guy that I feel like everybody loves. It's Jeremy Sohan of the San Antonio Spurs, and he gets a B+ for San Antonio, I should say, gets a B+ for this selection. He is just an incredibly interesting and versatile player. He's got to continue to grow as a three-point shooter and as a scorer, but defensively, all the versatility. He's shown some flashes of playmaking as well that I think are really interesting and intriguing. And again, when he's talking about value with the 9th overall pick to get a guy that really fits in so many different ways on so many different rosters, this is a really, really good value, and that's why they get a solid grade here. Number 10, Johnny Davis, Washington Wizards. It's an F-. It's as bad of a grade as I can possibly give. I was trying to think when I was making this video about other top 10 picks that have looked as immediately bad as Johnny Davis has. Like he's not going to be in the league. Like you just write him off already. Like Washington had the 10th pick in a draft that there's guys selected immediately after him that are going to be really big time NBA players. And you're just already writing that guy off less than a year after selecting him. It's a really unfortunate situation. I really struggle to think of a comparison and an example of something similar to this happening in the past. You almost feel bad for the guy, and certainly you feel bad for Washington. It's an F-. It's not even close. Speaking of guys they could have had, it's another A+, and that is number 12 overall, Jaylen Williams going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. He has been probably the biggest surprise. I mean, this guy was a late riser in the draft in the first place, and then to become not only the level of scorer and defender and versatile player that he is, but there's like some playmaking stuff going on with him as well, especially when SGA and Giddey aren't on the floor. There's a lot of interesting like connectiveness happening with Jaylen Williams in terms of a guy that really pulls this roster together. It's a roster that's a little weird. They've got pieces in all these different directions, and it's like no matter who the other 4 guys are on the floor, if Jaylen Williams is out there, it's gonna fit and it's gonna work, and that's a really rare thing to see from a rookie, certainly a rookie drafted in the late lottery. So for me, it has to be an A+. I cannot wait to see this guy continue to grow and develop. Number 13 now is Jalen Drummond of the Detroit Pistons, and I'm going to give them an A for this selection. I do have one concern with him, and that's just this archetype of player. Jalen Drummond's a little bit undersized. He's got long arms, but he's a little bit undersized. And I know that he's like the youngest player in the league, but these like high energy 6'9", 6'10" bigs that don't necessarily show a ton of other skill other than like being crazy good athletes and rebounding the ball and finishing at the rim, like those Montrezl Harrell type players always give me a little bit of pause because the production looks great. They're averaging basically a double-double every single time they play, but then when it comes to overall impact, maybe it's not that great. That's my only concern. Is the only reason it's not an A+ because he's, like I said, one of, if not the youngest player in the entire league. He has shown an incredible amount of effort and upside and athleticism as a rookie, and I obviously with this selection, that's incredible value for Detroit just to add another piece to this young core. That's the only reason though I didn't give it an A+. I think everybody likes Jalen Drummond. I like him as well, but there's a little bit of Montrezl Harrell here happening, and unless he starts to show a little bit more upside in terms of scoring creativity, maybe there's a little bit of a concern there in terms of overall value. But given where they selected him, it's an A+, or it's an A, excuse me, for me. 2 more guys I want to talk about now. Number 16, AJ Griffin of the Atlanta Hawks. I'm going to give them a B+ for this because anytime you can get a guy that can guard a little bit and shoot the ball the way that AJ Griffin can, it's really, really helpful. Everybody in the league is looking for players exactly like this, whether they're contenders or otherwise, and it's a kind of player that Atlanta desperately needed on this roster. I also like the fact that there's a little bit more happening with his game than just like standing and shooting threes. Like he's not allowed to do a ton in the offense, obviously, but there's a little bit of attacking closeout stuff. There's a little bit of attacking the rim stuff that I really like to see, so that you're not just completely reliant on the 3-point shooting stuff. I like AJ Griffin a lot. I give Atlanta a B+ for the selection. And then our last regrade of the video, number 22 overall, Walker Kessler of the Utah Jazz is an A+ selection. A guy that initially obviously was drafted in Minnesota, then sent over in the Rudy Gobert trade, and has been one of the more impressive bigs in the entire league, honestly. And I know that people had high expectations for him because he was a good college player, but like him being this level of rim protector, basically being Rudy Gobert as a rim protector as a rookie is pretty incredible, especially considering the fact that he was literally in the Rudy Gobert trade. Awesome value, someone I think is going to continue to grow and develop there in Utah. It is just, it's nice to have a reliable big that can guard against some of the better bigs in the league and be a rim protector as well. A+ selection there for Utah. Those are all the guys that I really wanted to cover in this video. There's other ones I could talk about as well. Let me know down in the comment section below which players you would have liked to see me grade, as well as what you would have graded them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.